we go.
What's for dinner, Marvin?
All right. So we're going to start with our check-ins. Welcome and introductions. I know you guys hate it when I do this to you. But question of the day, if you could visit any place in the world, where would you choose to go and why? So your name and answer that question.
Well, I'll go.
Okay.
My name is Susanna, and I was trying to be like, oh, can you come up with anything better? But honestly, I haven't seen my sister for a while. She lives in northern Michigan, and I kind of like to I just want to go hang out at her house for a while and, like just hang out with her. That's actually what I want to do. That's it.
Sarah.
Susanna had me reconsidering. My first answer is Lennox Head, New South Wales, Australia. The tide pools where we scattered my mom's ashes, which are where she learned how to swim as a kid. So that, but I'm like, oh, like maybe if we can go and we can actually be close to people, I would just go to Berkeley and hang with my god kid.
There you go.
Excellent. Winnie Frank.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Colorado to see my family. Yeah. If not that, the Galapagos. I've always wanted to go to the Galapagos.
That's a great place to go. Teacher Liz.
Okay, well, Winnie just took my answer because I was going to say the Galapagos. So, and yes, I would visit my family if I had the option, but if not, Galapagos.
Matt Cahill.
Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu. Okay. Excellent. And who else do we have here?
And Paula Farmer.
Paula Farmer. I'm going to Bali. I have been wanting to go. I bought a book like 2 years ago. I started doing Airbnbs and everything, and then could not wrangle all those girlfriends together. And so, I still haven't been, but I still have the book and I still have a plan. So that's where I'd go. Marvin K. White.
You're on mute, Marvin.
He would go into the ether.
Sorry, this is only my 8th Zoom call today. I was going to say I would probably go wherever Tom went to get that haircut, because that must be a beautiful place.
It's my bathroom.
I don't, one of the things I'm learning about the pandemic is I don't have a lot of wanderlust, like I like being like here. But I would like to go to Louisiana, where my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother all come from. Because I haven't been back since I was a kid, so I know nothing about Shreveport.
Shreveport. Who hasn't gone?
I haven't
Tatiana?
gone. It's Tatiana, and I just say, for those of you who want to go to the Galapagos, you should definitely go. I highly recommend it. And I think I want to go to cold places, like those northern, countries where there's reindeer, like it's Finland or. I know that Finland and Sweden and Norway, like way up at like near the Arctic Circle. So I want to see the Northern Lights.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Is that everybody?
Did we hear from Matt Cahill? I just feel like we didn't.
We did. We need Fiona and Tom Butler. I've been tracking.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's going to Machu Picchu.
Right. Sorry. Got it.
Want to go, Tom? Okay. Well, my list keeps growing listening to everyone. I want to do a tour of Ireland. I haven't been back there since we buried my dad there, like over 25 years ago. I'd love to go to London and escort my mother to the hospital to get her vaccine. They're vaccinating people today. And there's this little island in the Caribbean that has had no COVID. And I want to go there and run around without a mask on and jump in the ocean and hug people and have a Caribbean experience.
Wow,
Nice.
that'd be awesome. Okay.
So I started to say Paris because it's been a really long time since I spent one 24-hour period in Paris. Is one of the best days of my life. I keep wanting to go back. I was then going to say Dublin because that's where my grandmother was born and where I've been twice and haven't been in a very, 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 very long time. But as soon as Susanna spoke, I was like, no, I want to go to Portland and see my kid and her kid and the kid that's about to get here.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, the family thing is always, don't feel guilty if you didn't say family first, because there's an assumption that you possibly want to do that. Not everybody does, but you possibly do. So let's gather some thoughts and some feelings for that, just in this space that we can't actually do these things, but we can dream about them, and we'll eventually get back there so that we can. All right, so we're going on to agreements. We'll do a quick read through silently. We're going to revisit the mission statement quite a bit tonight. So set an intention for one that you find particularly hard for you to do, and circle back to that intention at the end. And that'll just be a practice that you yourself only know about and that you hold for yourself today. How about that? All right, so our focus, what we left the last meeting with was 5 initiatives that the racial justice group wants to focus on in the upcoming year. And this could go beyond the year, but for right now, we're looking at the year. And those included Black trans lives, Black women, food insecurity with emphasis on children, reparations, and voter suppression. In no particular order, just alphabetical. So we wanted to today unpack a little bit of this to figure out how can we as a racial justice group actually have an impact in these areas as it relates to our mission statement, and then also who would we be doing this work for and with. So that's the gist of the information that we have tonight. And I didn't know Minister Marvin was going to be here tonight, but I have, we met today and started to talk a little bit about how we should lead as not just a racial justice group, but then as an organization as a whole. So forgive, these are some very hastily put together slides because we just had this meeting this morning. But what we came up with was it should be a combination of the head, heart, and hands. And Marvin's hands are his feet because he likes to move. So any iteration of that, but knowing that it's coming from action and activism that is steeped in planning, thinking, and learning. That's Marvin's, the PLC. And then also from a spiritual and emotional investment. And so as Glide provides wraparound services, we should also be thinking in that same way that we are wrapping around this work, all of these things, so that we can make change in the world around us. So according to Marvin, Glide social justice work should be accessible to our congregation, our clients, and our community. It is just as, it's as simple as that: congregation, clients, community. Marvin wants a t-shirt. Any feedback on that one?
I would take off the exclamation mark after that.
Okay. But you did say exclamation. Any thoughts? Okay. Neighbors are doing something. No worries.
Rain or something.
Sound
I
good.
like the congregation. I mean, maybe you were joking about the t-shirt, but I'm like, actually that would work as a t-shirt.
All right. So in order to do that, we think about this as a funnel. If we were to think about it as a funnel, starting with our mission statement, which we recently revised. Can somebody read the mission statement at the top?
Alliance Racial Justice Group educates and seeks liberation for the oppressed and marginalized, with emphasis on BIPOC, in order to realize the beloved community we are called to be.
Wow. Okay. And then we have our initiatives, which we just went over. So we're trickling down from that mission into the initiatives. And then I thought tonight we should start to think about our strategy map. And so with the strategy map, what we're thinking about is basically the who, what, when, where, and how, but it's really more focused on how, and for this one is more focused on how nonprofits work, and getting that into alignment so that there is an overarching picture by which not just the racial justice group might be able to start from and lead their initiatives, but it's a framework that anybody could use, oftentimes used in a nonprofit culture. So if we could just popcorn these out, just anybody take a bullet point.
Mission. How will we achieve these goals in relation to our mission?
Beneficiaries or recipients? What are the needs that we are servicing? How will our outreach strategy allow us to provide the most benefits?
Internal processes. What are we doing inside our organization to service our congregants or clients and contribute to our own sustainability?
People, how do we nurture the following? Our constituents or volunteers, capabilities and skills to create and sustain a culture.
So these are some of the bigger things to think about as we dive into getting into each of these initiatives individually. So from there, we're going to create some SMART goals. So with our SMART goals, we want to be, as we dive into this work, very specific about what it is that we want to do under the umbrella of each of the 5 of those areas. We want it to be measurable. So if we say we're doing something for somebody, we want to say that maybe 15 people show up to this event, or we want to say that we increased our web traffic by 10%. So there are different data and metrics that we would want to put in there, even if they are, if we don't meet them, it gives us a vision and a pathway to get to where we're trying to go. A is they should be achievable. So if we have, say, a yoga fest, and we say we want 1,500 people there, that's not really achievable during this pandemic. And so we want to be very succinct in thinking about what's achievable, not only for the resources that we have, but also in the time that we're doing it. We want to be realistic, and that kind of goes hand in hand with that, about, is it something that we can really do? And then time bound. We want to give ourselves a timeline in which to do it. And so what the time bound does is it allows us to not stretch things out beyond. It allows us to go back and say what worked and what did not work about that goal. Was it unrealistic? Were there not enough people to work on it? Did we not have the resources for it? So it also gives you some metrics to go back and think about how your group or organization is working. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So, in getting to our SMART goals, we've gone through this. So the examples you can read there for yourself if you didn't really understand what those goals are. So what we want to do today is I've set up a spreadsheet that I'm going to be live typing into as we go through it. And I've done a couple of examples so that you can get an idea of what this might look like. So just starting with Black Trans Lives Matter. What is the initiative? And so what I put was to bring awareness to trans murders in our area and abroad. What data resources are needed to accomplish this goal? So there's a list of resources that we might need. So we need social media platforms. That could be the racial justice platform. That could be bringing in the Pride Team platform. That could be bringing in Glides platforms. We need arts initiatives in the light show. So that might be images that we project of trans people who have passed or been killed. It might be a Say Their Name campaign that we would put out with their lived names that they are living with. And then it could also be that we put together a postcard outreach with their images or information. It could be that we invite LGBTQ organizations to celebration and form partnership and connections that can be sustained. So that would be some of the things that we might need. Who should be involved? Racial Justice Center, the Racial Justice team, we should name ourselves. Connections with LGBTQ centers, LGBTQ schools, LGBTQ student alliances, etc. So you would keep going. You would dream as much as you can. And then once you actually start to plan the thing, that's when you would shape it. And then when should this initiative take place? I put targeted focus during Trans Awareness Week, which is in November, during Pride Month in June, year-round on social media as news comes in about tragedies. And then how will we know we've achieved the goal, which is the anticipated metrics? So I put increased traffic on social media and platforms by 10% during those times, feedback from congregation online platforms during the light show, and you could put a whole other set of metrics in there if you wish to. So what I like for us to do, and I also did another one for the Black women. The initiative was to give Black women tools to decrease stress and create new mindful habits. And then what we would need was yoga mats, lists to connect with clients, space outdoors, internet connection, live stream registration, capability to follow up with participants. And then who should be involved? The yoga group, the meditation group, Glide Center for Women, FYCC parents, Glide Housing, invite other organizations that work with Black women. When should this initiative take place? I'm thinking of it as a one-day workshop, but that could transition. It could turn out to be something totally different once we start to partner, roll into congregational life groups. And then what that means is that after the one-day workshop, they would have the connections so that they can sustain the practice through the congregational life groups. And then how would we know we achieved the goal? I put just simply 15 or more women would participate in the workshop. We would know it by tracking how many people logged in from the Facebook account and or registered through the streaming. So those are just two examples of this. Don't overthink it and no ideas too crazy. Let's just put it in here. And then this is just the first step in a series of steps to get to what we will actually be doing. So where should we start? Oh, first bit, are there any questions?
Are there more categories besides these two, or is this just where we're starting?
It's all 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all 5. But I just started examples in those, just to kind of show you what the expectation is, and then if there's.
I'm sorry. So you put this out like as a way of, this is an example. If we were to do it this way, that this is how it unpeels itself, kind of like that. Is that what you mean? Okay.
So ideas, and you can go to any of the 5 initiatives. It doesn't matter which one.
I have a question. Is our goal to sort of complete this task today or just begin?
Begin the task today. There's no way we're going to complete this today.
Okay.
So this will be a live document so that everybody can go back and continue to work on it. And no worries, it is a Google Doc, so it does have tracking. So even if you break it, we can go back to the original. Tom, I see you laughing. Tom's gonna break it.
I've broken them many times. I have one question because I missed the last meeting and maybe and I have a feeling I know where the answer lies, but we were talking a lot about the whole police process issues prior, and that doesn't show up in the strategic priorities. My guess is it shows up as an element in virtually all of them, but I'm just curious where the process went while I was not here.
Right. So these are just the new things, and we can always add the policing into this if we want to. I didn't put it in here just because these weren't the 5, but the 5 were discussed in addition to continuing our work with policing.
I wasn't carrying an agenda on that. I was just wanting to know the thought process.
Yes. So we can definitely add that back in because it's something that we will continue to work on. So just to catch you up, Tom, Linda gave a report out on the defund SFPD now and where they are. So we're waiting for them to get back to us to schedule a time to tell us what their next moves are, because the police bargaining agreement was agreed upon. And so we need to know what their next steps are. But then also individually, if you are interested, we are encouraging members here to go onto their website and register so that we can attend meetings. And when there are things like police shootings, we can get involved in those ways. That makes sense. And Marvin, is Marvin still here? Oh, Marvin, can you talk a little bit about what we talked about today with regards to the church stepping into that space and what that means across the church, the foundation, and where we show up in social justice in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I'm not sure where we were, but of course, social and racial justice are a part of the roots, the fabric, the foundation of Glide. I do believe that the charge of the church is to do social justice work at the eye level. We have a Center for Social Justice that does really higher level social justice work, policy wonking, legislative stuff, electoral politics, often sweeping big changes. And they do some work around shelter in place, but it's also about trying to change the law to keep them open. And yeah, so I believe when we think about how the church comes into the conversation, we start with, what's the social justice needs of the church? We needn't go too far outside of church to find those things, and the focus being, congregation, clients, and community. Trying to think, what else were we talking about, Paula?
Oh, that was it was the idea also of that organization being connected to a socialist organization.
When we think about what seemingly is radical work, I think we just need to remember that, like, who Glide is that we are for the people and not against the people. I mean, that's basically like the best way I can say it. So when we're talking about defunding the police, the Glide way of doing it is to call people in. I like the Van Jones quote: "It's all right to call people out, but you also have to call people in as well." So Glide is for the people. That's one of our values. So even our social justice organizing has to have a component of that. When Glide shows up and when Paula organizes contingents to the Women's March, even if you don't know Glide, people come and stand next to our contingent. They see the hearts, they see the signs, and we change the way that people participate in those events. So people know we're about radical inclusivity and unconditional love. And how do we bring these values into social justice work? There is a blueprint available to us from Cecil and Jan about doing this work, and it's always been radical. Y'all know the history. The indigenous folks organizing at Glide for their Angel Island. I'm sorry, what is it called? When they took over Angel Island. What's that?
Alcatraz?
Yeah, I thought it was Angel Alcatraz. And early queer organizing and early, like the heart of the beat movement, poetic organizing and women's organizing, So this is not new to Glide, and I don't believe would receive any pushback, but I do believe there's a way that we do this work that is a Glide way.
You're forgiven for mixing up Alcatraz and Angel Island, Marvin, because I don't think you were even alive.
I was there.
Methuselah.
I'm old, Tom.
You're well preserved.
Yeah, it's all bad on the inside. Yeah.
Hey, Paula, my screen is completely black. Is it supposed to be?
No.
No.
Yes, okay.
No, it is not. You're supposed to be able to see right now strategic priority planning.
I've got a completely black screen that says safe driving mode.
Oh, you that's your phone.
I didn't touch it.
Unless she's driving.
I'm not.
I'm so sorry to pop in, but Linda, if you swipe to your left, you should be able to get the full layout.
If I go to my left?
If you take your finger and you swipe on your phone to your left, or if you swipe across.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Perry is amazing.
Thank you, Perry.
Perry, yay.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
All right. So who's ready to dive in? There's no wrong answers, and we can help you build it out if you get stuck. And I added the sixth one there to the bottom.
For Black trans organizing, that we specifically consult with Black trans folks and understand who is doing work, since we're in the heart of the transgender district, who are already doing the work, and find out what work is needed.
I love that, and I think, I don't know if anybody here spends much time on the Movement for Black Lives website, or even the Black Lives Matter website. The Movement for Black Lives website is amazing, and it keeps changing because as things get updated. But oh my God, I want to see what is in there regarding community involvement, not just for what Black Lives Matter proposes that we do to create culture and to create community, but also how that can be shared across the country, so we have partners just because we're all on the same page. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's Black Lives Matter website. It's also it's m4bl.org. They do a really good job of explaining the priorities, and maybe if what our priorities can somehow mesh, we can get the work done.
Thank you, Tatiana.
I'm just trying to get clear. I feel like we've got so much here, and I really like how you're like strategically like picking it apart and giving us a focus. Focus is what I'm trying to go for here. I'm feeling like there's just so much here that it's like picking that one nugget of what we're gonna make our thing.
This is your time to dream. This is not
Okay.
picking. This is just your time to dream.
Oh, okay.
So we're not picking anything right now. We're just saying what is possible.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm sure that we do something at the church during, let me see. Well, I'm sure we do a celebration, right? Focused on trans, do we? Is it during Pride Week, or there's a...
It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a Transgender Day of Remembrance event,
yeah.
which is different from celebrating Black trans lives. At the same time as we honor those, who have been murdered as well. Like, how do we hold both of those?
Yeah, because I'm wondering with kind of from what you shared, Marvin, about like the glide way to do things. I wonder if we create an event for Black trans lives that have been lost, like honoring Black trans lives, because it's and make it a celebration, create a celebration to raise awareness.
I like that a lot. I think, Fiona, what you're also pointing to is the other history of GLIDE, which is providing space for new organizations or folks who are not organizations yet, but for folks to organize. And what does that look like in the virtual until we get back to the to the physical? How do we provide space for people to safely organize?
Okay. So going back to this original initiative, can we finish this one? When would we want to kick this off in the new year, or is it a spring project? Like, when would we want to kick this off?
Are we looking at this
Consult with Black trans to understand
the new year
needs? Yeah. So that's doing a needs assessment to create partnerships.
So when you say kick it off, you're speaking of like launching the work to do whatever we do, not actually looking at a thing we're going to do.
The initiative.
So just think about, you're dreaming about this. We want to consult with Black trans folks to understand who's doing the work and and what the needs are to partner with them. So would we want to start that like in the new year? Would we want to say, oh, we might have too much on our plate in the spring? Is this like a 1 month thing? Is this like an ongoing thing? So we just want to give it a timeline so that we can always revisit it. The timeline can always be tweaked. So don't be so beholden to that. But we just need to put something in here.
Yeah, my thought is that if we wanted to really, it would be nice, I think, to maybe launch like a finished product during a trans month. And so, it takes time. Things take time. So maybe starting in the new year and
Trans month is in November.
Yeah. Yeah, or at least 6 months.
To do a needs assessment?
Collaboration, it sounds like.
We were talking about when we should start, if we were to start with this, when we would start. Was that the question?
So
Yeah.
when will we get on the phone and start calling organizations and saying, hey, this is Glide, we're doing this initiative. What is it that you need? So that would be like interviewing, meeting with organizations, laying the groundwork for partnerships. Is that, am I right, Marvin? Why don't we just say?
Yeah, I would say like at least 6 months. People get.
So that's the end. So you need 6 months to do the work is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, so when are we starting the work?
So
Q1.
May.
Okay.
November minus 6 months is May, I think.
Six months doesn't feel right enough to me. I'd say March.
That sounds good.
We could split it and say April.
Yeah, because we're talking about, assessing, conceptualizing, that's not a 6-month project.
Right.
Okay. Does that sound right? Begin outreach in March to culminate in a targeted plan for outreach and partnership. And then how will we know we have achieved the goals? How many? This could be a how many organizations do we want to secure? This could be that we find one that's a perfect partnership. This could be anything. We just need a baseline.
Are we in the last column now where we're?
Yes, the last column is how will we know we achieved our goal?
Article in the paper.
Ah! Okay, is that attainable? Well, we can get our little friend to write it. How about that?
What about having established a relationship with an ongoing organization so that we know that we're not starting over each year, that we would be holding it as a value that we want to continue the work.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Start a fund to fund organizations or at least contribute to their causes.
And having like establishing an annual celebration at Glide.
That one would be this one.
And to make sure that that Black trans folks and trans folks have access to every program at Glide.
Yes.
Nice.
Including celebration.
Absolutely.
We're not above someone pointing out where our blind spots are.
Absolutely, Marvin.
That was my alarm. We have a 6 o'clock lay leaders dinner. I might have to hop off, and there's no dinner actually involved.
I was going to ask what
Too bad.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep plugging away at this because I want us to practice, and then also for you guys to be able to go back and keep adding to this. So I think the more that we practice and you understand how to use the grid, then you can do it more freely and think about it on your own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's play too. I know these are topics that are important, but the invitation that there's nothing too big and there's no wrong answer. Like we really have to keep our imagination like tools sharp, because whatever the answer is in this climate, it's going to have to come out of some creative place because the rule book is being tossed out every day. So really embrace the invitation to play is what I would love for you to see y'all do. None of it is law. It's all erasable and can all be overwritten. But mostly just have fun.
Thanks, Marvin.
Jazz hands. Bye. See y'all later.
Hey, Marvin.
All right.
So we can actually go into this document and mess around with it,
You can,
and it will it
and
like
you are
target who-
encouraged to.
Okay.
So,
Makes me
so
nervous.
only thing I would say is like these rows don't repeat at the top, so you're gonna have to scroll up and down. And also a thing that sometimes throws me off is because it breaks to a different page. And actually, I'm gonna put all of these on a separate page so it doesn't do that so much. Just make sure that you're typing into the right boxes and that you're going all the way across. So if you start an idea, take it all the way across before you start a new idea. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And then if you does everybody know how to add a row?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest, where I'm supposed to find this document. Where do I find it?
It's in the slide presentation. I'm gonna email it to you, and then also, let me see, I'll just put it in the chat here. You can access it there.
Paula, you have to grant access.
I just did, Matt. You should. It says anybody with a link can view it. So try it again.
Oh, there we go.
No one is consuming vegetation.
Okay, and then also, if you just really feel like you can't do this in this sheet, take the headers, which are I will put in the follow-up email. I'll put the headers there. So if it's easier for you just to do it on your own under the headers and just send me the information, I'll ask that you send it electronically so that way I can copy and paste it rather than having to dictate. But if that is too hard, do whatever makes it the easiest so that you can participate. That's what we really want. Now, is this making sense for you?
Yeah, just looking, and it's a little wordsmithy, but like the first column says, what is the initiative? And then the next one says, what is needed to accomplish this goal? Is the initiative the same as a goal? Is that just a synonym?
It is.
Okay, cool.
I will change goal, Matt, just for you, to.
Are you emailing this to us, Paula?
I will, but.
Huh?
Yes.
I liked wordsmithy, by the way.
How's that, Matt?
I love it. Now there's you know, that's wonderful. That makes more sense in my head.
Okay.
And each one of these we can, you know, there's 11 minutes left. We could brainstorm them now, unless people want to just take time and digest and do it on their own. Is that what you're hoping for?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm game. Hi, Linda Cummins. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm glad you figured out how to swipe on your phone.
This is amazing. It's the first time I'm seeing everybody.
So couldn't resist that. Sorry.
Oh my God.
That easy.
And I also talked to Marvin about the idea of, like, when we're thinking about our goals and initiatives, what are we doing outside the church? What are we doing inside church with program services and congregation? And how do those things overlap? And he was pretty clear that he wanted there to be a bringing the outside in and vice versa, and connecting people in the programs at our church to other programs if they could get more support in those ways. So that was the thing I couldn't quite wrap my head around. I don't know if anybody else is thinking about the same kind of thing. Like, when does this, who are we serving? And going back to the idea of congregation, client, community was how we ended up there.
may be a great opportunity for us if we're going to continue on this cadence of meeting every other week, of, you know, finding a time to invite somebody from the Center for Social Justice at Glide to come in. And then we just talk about what areas are we overlapping, or what ways can we leverage each other, or how can we help each other? Because I get a sense every time I hear Marvin talk about the Center for Social Justice that there's not, and I don't know if, you know, if it's up to us to build those kind of relationships and take the initiative, or, you know, is like having the rabbi come and share on Sunday enough? Or do we need to do more to learn more about, like, what kind of advocacy are they doing? And maybe that's something Tatiana wants to really help out on, and go down to City Hall and march with Ben or Miguel Bustos or somebody, you know, like whatever. I mean, I think it's all about just creating the opportunity to share the information that's going on and the great work that's going on by the Center for Social Justice and the people that are in that organization.
Right, so we had that conversation today as well. And he sent me some things that they had been working on, and the only one that I was aware of was the get out the vote, like the ballot thing, ballot initiatives that they did. So the other two, I was like, why is it that we did not know about this? So they are right now trying to, as Marvin said, help with the policy and initiatives around the closing of the hotels and bringing the homeless back into shelters. And so what is it that we could be doing as a group to support that work, whether it's showing up at a city council meeting, you know, with our Glide stuff on to show support, or do we go and lobby at the state capitol? I mean, there's other things that I don't know that they have a pathway with us, but what Marvin was pretty clear about is that we should not allow the Center for Social Justice to dictate what we do. We should partner with them where it makes sense. So yes, have them come to the group. Yes, hear what they're doing, but then also plant the seed for them that they need us just as much to support their initiatives.
Yeah, I never got a sense in any of conversations I had with anyone in there that they were coming at us with a dictatorial.
Oh, not at all. Nobody's saying that at all. But they're not coming at us with anything because nobody knows what they're doing, right? So
right, that's why
the point is the information.
We're going in the same direction.
Yeah, the information is just not coming through, and it is giving them that invitation, and then also I think being very clear that we are leading our racial justice with these initiatives in mind, and that is a clear bucket, and we want their support where they can support us, and vice versa. So they would be like any other organization that we're partnering with.
I'm really liking the every other week format, but I'm wondering what if we, given this conversation, what's the possibility we made this an hour and a half, and half an hour was getting information from other people and then doing what we do in our hour? I mean, I've liked those meetings we've had where we've had information, but then they've run really short. We haven't really been able to grab onto stuff. And I know everybody's uber busy, but it just strikes me. I just wonder if we had input every week and then we did our thing. Just a question.
Right. The only problem with that is that some days like today, we wouldn't be able to do an hour and a half. But we can certainly set it up that once we schedule whoever that speaker would be, that we could make that particular day. So we would have to arrange for it to be on a day where it doesn't conflict with the congregational leaders group, which is the conflict there. But we could definitely, if not every time, do it on days where it makes sense so that we can extend that conversation if that makes sense for the group.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense to
sounds
me.
good.
Yeah, that if sometimes we'll have a presentation, it'll be extra to our meeting, because when those things happen, I find them really valuable, but I also wind up feeling like our meetings are really short.
Okay, excellent. So we'll do that. So the folks that Marvin and I discussed today, we're trying to figure out who's in charge, like with the police reform. Who's in charge of that committee that is overseeing the 170 some odd reforms that they're charged with doing? How do we start that connection? And then also, how do we piggyback that off of the work that the Center for Social Justice is already doing with the police? So that's one idea. The Women's Center, talking with, I think her name is Sandra, who's over the Women's Center now. Is it Sandra? Marvin said he was going to check into it because there is somebody who is no longer there. But he's going to get me a list of names of the people, but also there was a Kenneth Kim, who's the director of programs, and he thought it would be a great idea if we could get him to come and speak and talk about programs just in general, to give get an understanding about like where is it going now in the last couple of years since they've made some shifts and changes. Are there any other folks that you guys would like to talk to that are part of programs at Glide?
I feel like a little bit like I don't know what I don't know, you know? Like who I feel like I should want to talk to someone, but I don't want to waste people's time, and I kind of want to get more educated, but I'm not sure of the best way to do that.
Okay. So then if that is the case, then what we could do is to, as we bring in the different folks from program, send out kind of a brief synopsis of what the program is, who the person is coming in, and then any questions that you have so that we can make sure that we have questions to ask, but just invite them to come in and talk about what they do so that we can get a better understanding. Because if you don't know what you don't know, then just having them come and talk might be a baseline to figure out
who's doing the drug program? Excuse me, Paula, who's doing the drug program now?
I don't know who's in charge of it now. I did meet him once, and I don't want to butcher his name. I can see his face as clear as day, but nice guy. And he was very willing. He was going to come in and do the Narcanol training with the congregational leadership, and that kind of fell.
Because I think everything.
Okay. And then also, like, I have no clue how, since I don't think I've been down to FYCC since we used to do the Easter egg hunts and stuff. So I have no clue how it's structured now, how it's funded, how Glide is connected with it. So that would be an interesting one, since we are saying that we want to have the strategic priority on food insecurity with emphasis on children. If we're starting right in the tenderloin, that would be a great place to start. So we'll figure those things out. And I don't know if maybe it's just looking at the initiatives that we have listed and figuring out what programs have an overlap there.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Paula, I can just
Makes
share
sense.
real quick. FYCC is a little tricky. A couple years ago, I tried to do some outreach with them to get them involved with Glide Kids, or doing the kids choir, and there was like funding issues where they had to sort of distance themselves from the church, and the community that they serve. A lot of them don't even know that Glide is affiliated with that organization. So I would just bear that in mind, that there was a real concerted effort to put distance between the church and FYCC.
Okay. And that makes sense in the respect of church operations, like joining a choir, joining those things. But for food insecurity, if we're just giving them things that they need, that might be something that we could do. So it's not like coming into the church, it's going out of the church. But we can dive into all of that. We can dive into all of it. It's
what aspect of that you just said, Matt, changes now because we don't have a UMC agenda anymore. Because I actually had an office at Glide almost 40 years ago for a UMC program. And the vibe was way different because of that connection. So I'm curious if the change of that connection makes a difference in what you were just talking about.
It could. I didn't get a sense that it was a Methodist thing. I got a sense that it was a federal funding thing.
Federal
Like
funding
the
thing,
federal money that was using to support the program there had some restrictions about how the program, a separation clause or something like that.
Right,
Anyway.
and the reason why I think it might be slightly different from what we were trying to do here in this initiative that's been put forth is because they do use the toy drive, they do use the meals program, they do use all of those other things that are not really affiliated necessarily with an exchange of spirit and or exchange of religion for this. So I think it could be slightly different, but I think we should check it out and see what's up. It's right there in our backyard. All right, so let's close this down because we got to get to another meeting. Are there any final questions? All right, I will get this out hopefully by tomorrow at the latest so that everybody can get plugging away on it.
Thank you for your leadership very much.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you, Paula.
And if you have
Thank
any
you.
questions, feel free
Really
to
good
reach
work.
out. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Love you all.
Love you all. Take
Love
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye, all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.